gents, welcome back once again to Game Shot, the Fallout Bar, brought to you by Online Darts, the only instant reaction show on YouTube after the darts finishes. My name is Jack Garwood. Welcome to the channel. If this is your first time, welcome back to everybody in the chat room that we've all seen before. Once again, I'm joined by the amazing Charlie and Cameron to review Day 5's action. Gents, how are we doing? Cam, you weren't on last night, so I'll say hello to you first. Don't adjust your screens though, guys. We know he's got a bit of rubbish on his shirt, but it's fine. It'll get over it.
I'm all right, mate. I'm not too bad at all. I know exactly what you were going to say at the start of this, but I'm just going to gloat a little bit that I called the result of last night and didn't get a chance to talk about it yesterday. I did call the 5-3 and Fallon Charlotte qualifying. So other than that, but yeah, really good. Not the closest of nights tonight in terms of games, but it was a good quality night of darts again. Some really, really good performances and really enjoyable watch again.
Yeah, Charlie, on the whole, it wasn't the most competitive night of darts. Like sometimes just the way the draw has worked out. Yeah,
and the players that obviously in three of the games, it was a little bit more one-sided than we kind of expected, but full credit to them players, and look, a really good game of darts, a good night of darts, sorry, and it sets it up for sort of the business end now of the tournament.
It does indeed. So at this point, we're going to say hello to everybody in the chat room. We've got Andrew in. That is Andrew. We've got Craig in. Malachi's noticed Cameron wearing his Bradley Brooks jersey. I could understand if he'd done the upset, but you just got a little bit bold, mate. Now everybody knows you're a Blackburn fan.
They all knew that anyway. Let's be real. Never hidden that fact. So we know our glutton for punishment and all that. So he was close enough tonight. He gave it a go. He was pretty good, and he pushed Gezi all the way, didn't he?
He did indeed. We're just going to go in order to review tonight's games. I don't think there's one that stands out a little bit more than others, but we're just going to go in order to keep things nice and simple. Before we do that, though, guys, please, as always, make sure you've liked the stream, subscribe to the channel, share it around if you want. Only 27 of you watching right now, which is weird because there's lots of you watching last night. We can probably understand why. We're not going to spend the first 10 minutes of the show talking about somebody that isn't playing tonight. We will get on to Fallon Sherritt when we preview tomorrow night's action. But we won't wait until the players are warming up to cram in all the information you possibly need about the first game, because we've forgotten to do that because we're talking about somebody else. That's not how we work yet. We do like the little subtle dig, though. So, yeah, as I said, guys, straight into the action, Charlie. And I'm going to start with you. A very, very impressive performance from Rob Cross in the end, 102 average. Started very, very slow, did Rob. But this is the game of the four that we expected to be the closest, I think. And it didn't work out that way, despite a good start from Ryan Joyce.
Yeah, I mean, the throw went on. It went on through all the way up until it was 3-3. And at that stage, I was sat watching it and thinking this game could really go the distance. And then Rob Cross breaks the throw to go 4-3 up, and from then it was one-way traffic. And he was exceptional tonight. I mean, he was blown away by Wade in his last game, and he came out with a 102 average and absolutely blew Ryan Joyce away. Impressive from Cross. It's what we've been accustomed to seeing over the last couple of months.
It is indeed. He just found that form from somewhere, Cam, with the changing to the slightly longer points, just having a glance at some of the stats. And when you see someone chucking 102 average, you don't expect them to have only found 180. He had 14 140s and 23 tons tonight to Rob Cross. That is, for want of a better word, considering he's playing Ryan Joyce, relentless.
It is that. I think if we look at the last sort of 18 months or so, it's Johnny Clayton-esque, isn't it? It's just an absolute barrage of 140s and ton pluses and just consistent scoring power. I mean, 8 of the last 9 legs to go and win it as well. And going up against someone in Ryan Joyce, who's playing very well, he's averaged 95 today and banged in 5 180s as well. Could put you under a bit of pressure, that, but he just consistently just kept that scoring power up, and it's a very, very impressive performance from Rob Cross. And you wouldn't fancy playing him, would you, at this stage?
That's where we're going to go next, boys, because 6 to 9 months ago, there were serious concerns over Rob Cross's form, the fact he was defending an awful lot of money. I keep going back to it. He had a very, very solid base in the Premier League without threatening anybody. He was consistent. He picked up the odd point here or there when players faltered a little bit. He had like a 92 to 95 average virtually every single week, but that's not quite what you need to go and compete in the Premier League, as we've already discussed earlier, Cam, but we won't get into that argument again.
Yeah, we've had our discussions today. We'll leave it there.
But look, Rob Cross is one of the only players in the world that can win tournaments comfortably with his B game, and his A game's turning up at the minute, Charlie, and it's at the perfect time this year, isn't it?
100%. I mean, you've got to peak at the right time in the year, especially with the Worlds right at the end, towards Christmas into the New Year. So for him, that slow start at 3-3 today, he probably won't have been too bothered about that. But it's the way that he transferred his game after that to then just take Ryan Joyce apart. And we've seen Ryan Joyce been really impressive this week as well. So to a 10-4 scoreline, he's just been blown away.
He has indeed. A quick word on Ryan Joyce before we hear from Rob Cross. He just has this knack of popping up in tournaments when he gets there. Very, very consistent performer, but is yet to really have that breakthrough moment, Cam.
Yeah, and it looked like this week could have possibly been that, where he was very, very good against Stephen Bunting on Saturday, another good result on Sunday, and you thought he could kick on here. And if he carries on playing like that, I mean, he was so good on his throw against Bunting on day one, where Bunting averaged 106.7 or whatever it was and couldn't get anywhere near him on his throw. He was nowhere near it. And you thought, well, maybe this could be the chance where, especially if he can get in there and win the ball and you've got to break him to beat him, he could maybe kick on and do something. But it didn't quite happen today. But I just think that was more down to how good Rob Cross was rather than anything else.
Yeah, Rob Cross was exceptional. And what we're going to do in a moment is hear a short snippet of Rob Cross's post-match interview. A reminder, stay on our YouTube channel. Don't jump over. You're obviously here already. Jump onto the YouTube channel after we finish the show to watch all of the interviews from this evening in full. We're going to play you now a short clip of the Rob Cross interview there.
I think so, and obviously probably Ryan's a really good dart player, but if he's level and he's maybe just in front, he's better. And then all of a sudden, when I did take the lead in the game, his head went down a little bit, and to be fair, the rest is sort of history.
Rob Cross loves a to be fair, but I think he summed that game up absolutely perfectly. Gets the break, steamrolls, and runs away with it. On to game number 2, boys, and I take absolutely no pleasure in discussing this one. Honestly, a week ago, this man was in absolutely no form whatsoever. I was backing him to barely get out the group. The performances at the recent Pro Tours haven't been good. First round exit, TV, etc. James Wade has flipped a switch this week. 98 average, a 10-2 victory over Roby John Rodriguez. Cam, Wadey baby is back.
So glad you came to me for this one.
Charlie first on the last one. That's how it works.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he was very good. To be fair, when you say a week ago he wasn't in form, on Saturday he wasn't in form. He was just really poor on Saturday, and since then, I don't know what it is, but there was that interview. It was really good to see. Actually, he came across really well when he was quite vulnerable and talks about why he doesn't give it much on stage and why he's a bit reserved, and that he's been trying to give it a little bit more and just enjoy it a little bit more and let himself go a little bit. And it seems to be really working for him. He was absolutely fantastic tonight. Roby John Rodriguez didn't play particularly bad. He wasn't at the level that we know he can get to, and like the level he was in qualifying for this stage, but he just didn't get a chance to even get into the game. Like, he had a good first leg, 14 darts, I think it was, and then it basically wasn't in the game again. Other than the 170 which came out of nowhere, but that was what he had to do just to get a leg off James today, and you can't argue with it whatsoever. I mean, he was just very, very good, and I think it felt better than 98. I'll be honest, watching it, I thought he was probably well above a ton watching the averages, but very, very good, and sets up a great game next, doesn't it?
It does indeed. We'll get onto that tomorrow night's show. We're not getting too far ahead of ourselves. There's only so much we can talk about in one evening. Charlie, it was just clinical from James. 10 from 15 on the doubles, 98 average. Roby is limited to just 4 attempts at a double tonight, and one of them is the 170 he takes. There's a couple of comments in the chat room I'm going to bring up now. Wade looked better than he was. Roby was terrible. Was he? 98 average where your opponent only gets 4 darts double. Okay, Roby could have scored a bit better and afforded more chance, but 10 from 15 on the doubles and a 98 average, that's not terrible.
No, not at all. And not for Wade as well. Like 95, if Wade averages 95, he beats most people anyway. We know that, the way he plays. Like, I think when he averages 98, he's a bit like 105 for anyone else anyway. And the finishing was absolutely superb.
Charlie, a word on Roby John. He's shown glimpses again this week of what he can do. He's been in superb form. Challenge Tour. Arguably should have a tour card. It was the countback rule that stopped him and Rusty Jake getting one earlier in the year. But he is very, very close to earning a tour card as a non-tour card holder, which I believe has only ever been done once before, which was Joe Mernon after he won a Pro Tour as an invite as a Challenge Tour, got himself in the match play early doors, and earned his tour card outright through the rest of the season. Roby John is not a million miles away from doing the same this year.
Yeah, look, I'd love to see more of him. I think he's at home on the stage, isn't he? In front of the big audiences. But tonight, you kind of, he'll probably, once he's finished that game, there wasn't a drop-off from Wade at all tonight. He was so consistent throughout the game that Roby would have probably thought maybe at 4-1 or so, Wade's going to drop off here and I can capitalise on that. He didn't. He continued to go and he continued to break Roby's throw. And eventually, the youngster just ran out of steam, didn't he, towards the sort of, once the throw was broken, and then it just sort of steamrolled after that. But I would love to see more of him, and he'll take confidence from his run this week. He's been really impressive.
Yeah, he has indeed, boosted by that run at the World Cup with his partner Mentor Sulovic. Both players have been on a good patch of form since. No Wadey interview this evening. Unfortunately, he wasn't available. So we are going to move on to game number 3 and the closest game of the night. The reason that Cam is wearing a Blackburn shirt for all of his sins, not because he lost a bet, I promise. Gerwen Price 10, Bradley Brooks 8. And the stats and the numbers, Cam, don't say this is the best game, but there was lots of drama, lots of tension, lots of testosterone flying around on that stage, and that made it an enjoyable watch.
It was a great watch. It was probably the best game to watch of the night, even though, like you say, the averages and everything else, I mean, that's where averages kind of sometimes are a bit irrelevant, aren't they? I mean, to watch it, it was fantastic, and it was drama throughout. It looked early on, especially when Price had a chance to go 4-1 up, like he might run away with it. It might be another one going with the rest of the games where it was a bit comfortable and a bit one-sided, whereas then Bradley just found a little bit and upped his level slightly, ran through it a bit, and realistically there was one massive moment, I think, in this match, which was 7 each and 3 darts at 28 after setting it up with the 177 to set it up, I think it was, wasn't it? To set up 28 from Bradley, and that third dart was so well thrown. Somehow it's not gone in off the other one. I'm still not sure how, and that goes in. Maybe we're sat here and it's a different result, but Price was pretty cool after that and sort of finished it off quite well. And I think that knocked the stuffing a little bit out of Bradley at the end, but it was a great game to watch and really, really enjoyable.
Yeah, Charlie, it's not we don't see it too often these days because of what tends to happen when you do. But it was quite refreshing to see a youngster going head-to-head with Gerwen Price, not only on the board, but with a little bit of the reactions off the board as well, wasn't it? I know the opinion sways a lot depending on who's giving it, and if it's Price and Van Gogh, we can say sometimes it's a bit excessive. I thought it was pretty good from both players tonight. It was in moderation, it was at the right times, it was at the key moments, and that makes it a bit of a ding-dong battle to watch.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to remember Bradley Brooks obviously still really young, isn't he? So inexperienced on the stage. He was 5-2 down, and he gave Gerwen Price a massive run for his money. So fair play to him for giving it back. There was no malice in it, and you saw how they celebrated at the end. You know, it was nice and light-hearted. But Price has had a scare there. He's not been at his best this week, and you know, Bradley Brooks on another night, we could be looking at him going through to the next round. But look, Price wasn't at his best tonight. He hasn't been for a while, but he's got through another shaky game, and we still haven't seen his A game yet.
We haven't indeed. I want to touch one more little bit on Bradley Brooks. No doubt, myself, Lee, and Phil are going to get into the nitty-gritty of Bradley Brooks' current situation, but he is at that point where losing games for him right now might not be the worst thing in the world, because if he doesn't retain his tour card right now, he will get a 2-year tour card by virtue of finishing top of the development tour, which would also give Nathan Rafferty. It would take it away from Nathan Rafferty. If he manages to keep his tour card this year, it would renew for 1 year. So there is a possibility that actually not winning games right now is a better situation for the World Youth Champion, but we'll get into that a little bit more. A quick word on his action, though, Cam. I'm not sure how many people notice this, but Bradley Brooks he's almost got a 3-stage set in motion as he's bringing his hand back, and that went away from him in the early stages of the match. It was straight back, straight down. When you've got such, I'm not even sure distinct is the right word, but when you do have that set in motion and you go away from it, Ted Evitts is another player that has a lovely set in motion, and then when he's under pressure, when he's going, he just starts getting rid of the darts a little bit quick. I think that may have accounted a little bit for the slow start. And if he learns to settle on that stage, the lack of experience perhaps, maybe we are talking about a different result. Because if you're not chasing from 4-1 down and he produces the game he did, he possibly runs away with it.
Yeah, completely agree. I think it was something I noted on as I was watching it tonight, that there were a few darts in there that were a little bit quick and a little bit rushed. And he has got such a methodical, really nice action that seems to hold up really well under pressure for the most part, but he just seemed in the early stages. And it's understandable at 21 on the big stage in a knockout game playing the world number 1 that it probably will go away from you a little bit. I think what was really good to see from him was the fact that he managed to get it back after that, and not only managed to hold throw going into the break to get back to 3-2, but then to kick on from there and get back to level in the game. That after that slide where he was struggling a little bit at the start and lost his action slightly, that he managed to get that back and hold on to it throughout the pressure that he was under as well.
Yeah, absolutely massive for him, and it made for a great game. We are going to hear from Gerwen Price in a minute, but I just want to touch on another comment from Jay and Jazz. You're getting on the screen all night, buddy. So Wade played exceptional and Price played poorly, but Price had a better average. He didn't. Wade had a 98, Gerwen Price had a 92. 92.9. There's 5 and a bit points difference between the averages and the performance.
Don't take Gob on about his boy, because he will fire back.
Not even firing back. Just fact. Rafa Benitez. Fact, Mr. Ferguson. Fact. Yeah. What a rant that was. The silly Spanish waiter. Bloody loved the man, though, until he went to Goodison Park. Let's hear from... it could be worse. Our club legend could have just gone to Aston Villa. Let's hear then from Gerwen Price in his post-match interview. See what the world number 1 had to say for himself.
Just tried too hard. I'm a little bit rusty. I haven't played a lot all year, really, considering what I've over the past. A couple of I'm missing Premier League, missing loads of Pro Tours, not as many Europeans. So, I'm not as sharp as what I was, but I'm still in. And if people can't beat me when I'm playing that bad, when I'm playing well, they probably got no chance.
Confident for a man that. Look, we love the fact he gives us his little sound bites and clips, but I can't help but feel that the rustiness is a little bit self-inflicted, Charlie, because yes, he missed the Premier League, but that was nearly 7 months ago now. He's opted to miss the amount of Pro Tours he's missed this year. And 24 hours before his first game in the group stage here at the Grand Slam, he was still sat in a pool in Spain on holiday. If you're not back in the country at the hotel, ready, set, and having a couple of days practice almost, you can't really blame anybody but yourself at this moment, can you?
You can't blame anyone. He's obviously had one. There was one way. Obviously, COVID stopped him from competing in the Premier League. That's fair enough. That's out of his hands. But it's the fact that a lot of Pro Tours this year, he said, "Do you know what? I'm not taking part in that one. I'm not taking part in that one." So no wonder he's rusty and he's not playing very well, because he's not had the preparation, the practice. I mean, he was sat by the pool, wasn't he, as you mentioned, just days before, which is very risky, especially
not even days. The day before, 24 hours. At
which is
midday, he posted on the Thursday. He played on the Friday or whatever it was. He played on the Saturday lunch. Literally flew in that evening.
So risky, but for him, fair enough. He's not playing very well, and he can't blame anyone else. But he'll have to find his A game soon, or else he'll be facing an early exit.
He will indeed, because once again he plays his compatriot and World Cup teammate in the next round, Johnny Clayton, after the Ferret's biggest ever margin of victory on the TV. Johnny Clayton 10, Nathan Rafferty 2. It's 104 average for the Ferret, who was superb tonight. But I'm gonna precursor this one a little bit by saying I don't feel like this was a 10-2 scoreline. Nathan Rafferty, okay, he's had 2 legs and they're both ton plus checkouts. He could have had another 3 or 4 of those on his tally tonight, because he was so close so often. There was a 1-2-1 in there. I think there was a 140 maybe. It was early doors. It's just 130. Sorry, he missed double 5. Then he missed the 1-2-1. He had chances, but they were long shot chances, Charlie, because of how well Johnny Clayton was playing. And if he didn't take out the ton plus, he got punished.
He was impressive tonight. He was really impressive tonight. And what impressed me so much about Johnny Clayton was just how he cleaned up legs. Because Nathan Rafferty missed darts at a double, and Johnny Clayton would have been sat on, I don't know, 110, 124, something like that, and he'd take it out. And you'd just be like, this is what we've become accustomed to seeing. A 104 average from him, 4 180s. He was very, very impressive tonight. And Gerwen Price will have been watching that, and I don't know, he won't be as confident, I think, as he has been in the past, because Johnny Clayton is in some serious form at the moment.
He is indeed. Cam, quick word on Nathan Rafferty, another one of the youngsters that's fallen by the wayside tonight, but it's been a really, really good performance from him throughout this Grand Slam campaign. Missed out on going to Q School earlier in the year. He's got a bright future ahead of him now, hasn't he?
Massively so. He's been absolutely brilliant for the entire tournament so far. He just got blown away by the better player tonight, but in the group stage he was brilliant. And like I say, just to get 2 legs on the board with 2 of those massive checkouts, it's under the pressure he was under and the absolute onslaught from Johnny Clayton that he was under, which shows enough of what he's got about him and what he's got going forwards. He's been very, very good throughout the tournament for a first time as well. I think he can walk away with his head very much held high after this weekend.
I think all the youngsters can. Let's not forget, though, Nathan Rafferty was, a leg away from beating Gerwen Price, which would have set up a Bradley Brooks last 16 encounter instead of the way it fell this evening, which would have given both players a lot nicer battle. We could have seen Price versus Clayton even earlier, boys. This question has been directed at me in the chat room, but I'm going to ask your opinions on it. Who do you think has the most potential, Brooks or Rafferty? Obviously, Bradley Brooks is a little bit older, I believe, and he is the reigning World Youth Champion. Nathan Rafferty without a tour card at the minute, but has looked very, very good this weekend. Charlie, right now, which one do you think has the most potential?
It's a tough question.
It's a very, very tough question.
I thought you'd gone to Cam first. So
I've been to Cam first enough tonight.
Yeah. Look, I think both players are exceptional, and it'd be nice to see Nathan Rafferty on the tour to see how he competes, regularly. At the moment, I am favouring Rafferty a little bit more than Bradley Brooks. I think his throw looks. They were commenting on it tonight how nice his throw is, and he just looks. He looks like he's got that potential, and at his age as well. He's a little bit younger than Bradley Brooks. There's a potential there. He's got a lot of areas that he can work on. But if he can do that, we should be expecting to see him on our screens very regularly in the future.
Yeah, Cam, for you.
Just to put it out there, he's not actually younger than Bradley Brooks. Bradley Brooks is actually a month younger than Nathan Rafferty. He is. I'll be honest, I've just Googled it. I didn't know that already. But yeah, I think it's very difficult right now to pick between them. I think Rafferty's action is unbelievable. Like, he couldn't have a better nickname, could he, in terms of natural, because it is so natural and so smooth. But I don't know. I kind of edging towards Brooks a little bit, just in terms of, I just think there's that little edge about him that I'm not sure Rafferty's got right now. I think Rafferty's not quite got the same fight in him that Brooks might have, just where it gets a little bit tough, where he backs up against the wall and he can come out fighting, which we didn't see from Rafferty today. We did see from Brooks up against Gezi.
I think they're at the complete opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of mentality and approach to the game. Bradley Brooks is a very fiery character. If it goes his way, he's going to let you know about it. If it doesn't go his way, you're probably going to see it. Nathan Rafferty looks like he is going to have the same. He could be an awesome poker player because he's just going to react the same if he takes out 170 or if he misses 12 darts with double one. He's not going to be fussed at all. Brooks has the achievements in his favour, but I think the fact that his throw changed tonight, we mentioned that already, whereas Rafferty just stayed the same in that environment. I think that gives him that little bit of an edge. Darts is a very, very simple game if you can replicate your throw over and over and over again. Doesn't matter how bad your action is. If you can repeat it under pressure every single time, you're laughing.
Yeah.
So
I get
Rafferty the edge, but I think they both have massive futures. And look, after seeing this week, after seeing the youngsters coming through, after being a part of the development tour a couple of years ago, looking at the average age of the player and looking at the lifestyles those players are living now, let's be honest, there aren't many youngsters coming through that look like me at the minute, that have got considerable amount of weight between their shoulders and their waist. So, yeah, the players are taking this sport very, very seriously right now. We're going to have to go back to Clayton, obviously, because we have a little clip from Johnny. No idea what this one says because it's just been added as we are midstream. So this one is Johnny Clayton after 104 average and his biggest ever win on the TV.
He's never nice to me. He's only nice to me when we play the World Cup. So, no, all due respect, it's like he's going to shout his head off. He done it tonight, so he's going to give me that big time on Friday night. So I'm expecting it.
You going to give it back?
No. I haven't got a big voice like him, so no.
Yeah, I'd put that Blackburn shirt away too, mate. It was starting to get a little bit embarrassing.
I don't think the colour's quite coming across of what I'm wearing right now. So.
Oh, bright pink, I get it. You're in love. I've thrown myself now. Interesting words from Clayton. Obviously, looking ahead to the Gerwen Price matchup, we will normally look ahead to that tomorrow night. But I think it's fair that we have a quick word on the quarterfinals that have come out of tonight's action. Cross versus Wade, Clayton versus Price. As much as tonight was a little bit of a non-event, those two are going to be very, very close and good games.
Yeah, they are. I mean, the two fantastic games. We've got Rob Croston getting back to his very best form. James Wade's playing as well as he's played for a number of months right now. And then you've got the All-Welsh game that's been an absolute belter throughout the entire last 18 months as well, which the two that are very, very tough to call as well. And that's what makes it for such an enticing pair of quarterfinals, doesn't it?
It does indeed. Just flash it up on screen. Good evening, Shawnee Mack, your Irish Open champion. Hey, congratulations, buddy. The team here are all very, very chuffed for you. It's been a long time coming, that victory, mate. So well done indeed. Let's then, boys, look ahead to tomorrow night. 4 more matches, and this could well be, on paper, one of the best sessions of darts I have ever seen. All 4 matches are very, very intriguing. The matchups work brilliantly. I think if you swap these 8 players around, you don't quite get the same excitement and buzz around this one, but it just works as a session, and I'm really looking forward to this. Starting with Michael Smith versus Joe Cullen, Charlie. 2 players that are just going to get on with the game, play at a very, very good pace. They're almost going to accommodate each other because of that. Plenty of high scoring. We're going to get chances at big finishes. We're probably going to get plenty of double misses as well, because that's just the way the 2 play. But it's going to make for a really interesting contest.
I mean, if any of us can predict the results for tomorrow night, we've done very well, because it is going to be an exceptional night of darts. I fancy Joe Cullen in this one, I really do. I'd like to see him get through. I mean, Michael Smith's been playing some really good darts. Granted, he wasn't at his best against Joe Davis. He's got a point to prove as Michael Smith. And, we're expecting that one to go close. I mean, if I was to give a score prediction, I think Joe Cullen wins it, but I think he wins it 10-8. I think you see it go the distance in that game. But the timing of the game won't be too long, because they throw very fast anyway. So that game will be done before we know it, but I think he wins 10-8.
Cam, coming to you for a score prediction. Obviously, we don't have as much to talk about this evening, so I'm going to chuck something else at you at the same time. I don't like mentioning the P word, although I think we're only 2 events away from that lineup being announced. This game could have massive implications on one of these 2 being in the travelling circus that is the Premier League.
You just can't help it, can you? You can't help but talk about it.
Look, Michael Smith was obviously very annoyed that he wasn't in last year. I'm aware that the broadcaster was very, very keen on Joe Cullen being a part of it last year.
Yep.
Hadn't quite done enough to be in as one of those wild cards, because they like the image of Joe Cullen. Slightly young, he's got the slim build, he's not your big fat old pub player anymore, and that's the image they want to press with this sport. This game, 2 quick players going to play at a nice pace. As I said, if one of them wins this and goes further and deeper into the tournament, they're in with a good chance, surely.
Yeah, and conceivably, either of them could go and win this. Like, they are both more than good enough to go and win this tournament, and then an absolute shoo-in for the Premier League. And I think, yeah, like you say, it's a great game, and it's 2 players that are perfect for the Premier League as well, in the way that they play the game, the way that they throw. It's enjoyable to watch them both play, and they're both capable of throwing monumental averages and just providing the entertainment that the Premier League is there to do week in, week out. In terms of picking this game, I can't see anything but it going all the way. I think we're going to see it go right to a deciding leg, and I think that we'll see Michael Smith just get over the line. 10-9.
Going for a decider. Chat room, remember, get your predictions in. We'll flash some of them up on screen, get a general consensus. No polls tonight. Take us too long to get them up and down for each of these matches. It's a very, very intriguing matchup, and this half of the draw at this stage is considerably more stacked than the opposite half of the draw. Obviously, makes for a really, really intriguing night of darts in general, but when it comes to this game, I think I'm with you, Cam. I think Michael Smith comes through it, purely because I predicted him to go very, very deep in the tournament last Monday. The only issue with that is, so is Lee Boyce at this point, which means he's got no hope whatsoever.
And me.
Yeah. Well, before I do give that prediction, didn't see much of Lee Boyce on the TV tonight. Thank the Lord. Playing stuff with the other night.
It was nice to not have a bit of Sky Sports Boys for once, wasn't it? Like,
Well, yeah, that's his new nickname. We gave you absolutely after 2 weeks on the show. He's going to be Sky Sports Voice from now on. Prediction for me then, I'm going to go not 10-9. I'm going to go 10-8 Michael Smith. I think he gets that extra break of throw. Liam from the team, Cullen 10, Smith 8. Shawnee Mack, Cullen 10-9. Turnip plays, so Smith wins 10-6. Jay and Jazz is going for Cullen as well. Plenty of you going for Cullen. And if you are going for Smith, everybody is saying it goes close, which means we're already in for a longer evening than the one we've had tonight. Get your pillows out, boys. We're in for a late one. Game number 2 of the evening, and we're going to go in the opposite way round. Cam, so I'm coming to you first. Peter Wright, who has told everybody he is going to win this tournament, against the defending champion, Jose de Souza. Where are you going with it?
Is another very, very difficult game to pick. Peter Wright, we saw flashes of brilliance in the group stage. Jose was more consistent. He was a steadier, higher average. He played his normal game. Not the heights he can get to, but his solid B game has been there throughout. I think I just fancy Jose, and as much as Peter Wright, the last time he told us he was going to win something, went and won it. I don't think that he backs it up this time, and I think Jose gets over the line 10-7.
Charlie, over to you.
I don't think either player is playing at their best at the moment, and I just have a feeling that Wright will show up tomorrow night, and I think he's going to win 10-6. I think he gets the better of Jose. He's not been playing well either. I think there'll be a considerable gap between the two, but I think he'll get the job done, Peter Wright. And yeah, I think 10-6. I think he'll get the job done.
Split pretty nicely in the chat room. I think more and more are starting to edge towards Peter Wright. I mean, the fact that he still doesn't know what darts he's throwing is always going to be a bit of an issue. Jose does look a little bit sharper now than he has done for the last couple of months. He says he's on his way back to full fitness, and he struggled after his second COVID jab. That being said, I think we see a performance here from Peter Wright. It's been brewing a little bit when he needed it. He was pretty ruthless against Fallon earlier in the week. And if Jose doesn't start brightly, if Jose doesn't get out the blocks rapidly and put Wright under it, I think Snakebite will go away with that one. And at that point, I'm going to say 10-6 to Peter Wright, and the defending champion falls in the last 16. Game number 3, I'm going to go to Charlie first, just because you've made a special moment for this, Cam. So, I'm going to make you wait just that little bit longer. It is a repeat of one of the most infamous games in darts, Fallon Sherrock against Mensur Suljovic. Charlie, it went Fallon's way last time at the Palace. Can she repeat it in Wolverhampton?
I mean, I can do the match report tomorrow, Gob, if you want me to, and I'll write heartbreak for Fallon.
You've done that once this week, mate.
We'll hope that'll work again. But having said that, I think she wins. I'm on the Fallon bandwagon. I'm going with her tomorrow night. I think she gets the job done. I think it'll be 10-7 to Fallon Sherrock, and she makes even more history.
I'm not even sure I need to ask Cam who's going to win tomorrow. I just think I need to ask him a score.
I mean, we nearly lost me there. I just got it, as Charlie was about to predict, that it flashed up on the laptop that my battery was about to go. I just had to dive down and grab the charger. We nearly didn't get this. Yeah, I'm going with Fallon as well. I just don't think Mensur likes playing her. I don't think it's good for his mindset, the pressure that he's under, and when the crowd get into him, which they will. And I think she wins 10-6.
I'm genuinely struggling with this one. The fact the crowd are going to be on Mensur will definitely play a part in the game. The Mensor's pace, though, I think will balance it back out. I'm not sure Fallon really likes playing the slow games. We've seen her performances in the live league, etc. And when she's allowed to play and that freedom to play, look how good she was against Michael van Gerwen, for instance. Mark de Decker is no slouch. When those players give her that little bit of pace to play with, she can get into a far better rhythm. That being said, I think we see it one more time. I just do. I think we see it tomorrow. And then it doesn't go any further after that one. But I think Fallon wins. And I think she wins 10-7. I think if it gets any closer, then Mensor's probably got the edge. But yeah, 10-7 to Fallon. Jamie, 10-4 Mensor if he plays how he's played already. That is the other point, by the way. Mensor is playing some very, very good darts right now. Nathan says
I think we've all just killed Fallon there, haven't we? Like, she's out now because we've unanimously said that she's going to win. So apologies now to Fallon if it doesn't go that way, because it's definitely on us three.
Well, you better get used to it, because if she does get in the Premier League, Phil Bars and Lee Boyce are going to be predicting it every single bloody week. So, she's got to break the curse at some point. And why not do it before the curse even begins? Because that's what we do here at Online Darts. We just pick howlers. I genuinely don't know how people sit and watch us do this, by the way. None of us get anywhere near any week at all. We get one, and then we're like, oh, yeah, look at that. And then we bang on about it for 3 weeks, and then we go again.
I had 3 correct scores the other night, actually, out of 8. I'll take that.
Final game of the evening, boys. And this game may not have the same impact that it had 4 or 5 years ago, but it is still the El Clasico of darts. Gary Anderson against Michael van Gerwen. 2 players, no antics, get up, throw their darts, and if they deliver, it just always has the potential of being the most special game ever, Charlie.
It does. This is going to be what a game to finish the night as well. I mean, it would be really special if this game goes all the way. I'm still firmly with MVG. I think he's in the form. His form is some of the best we've seen for a long time. So I think he beats Gary Anderson. I think we see a classic and it goes the distance. But I think he wins 10-8 and beats Gary Anderson. Although Gary's been playing really well at the moment, I think MVG may just have too much for him.
Cameron, over to you.
I just can't see that. I honestly think that MVG's levels above Gary right now, especially in terms of how they both played so far this tournament. And I think if Gary gets 3, then that's probably as good as it's going to get. I think 10-3 MVG, and I think he'll run away with it.
10-3?
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow, indeed. Because I agree with Jack. The longer a tournament goes on, the more chance Gary Anderson gets to just play darts. Michael Smith was very critical of him the other night and the fact that his practicing just doesn't seem to be there. But the more time Gary Anderson gets on a board, the better he plays. I think we're wrong. Van Gerwen is reaching an astronomical level right now. But I'm still wary of the odd game drop-off. Still, we look at the Premier League, and I know that was a long, long time ago, and the form was so up and down, and he seems to have levelled out a little bit, but I am still wary of that drop-off. And if Gary Anderson gets out in front, I think we could see glimpses of the old Gando, and please, what a time it would be to see it. 10-7 to the Flying Scotsman, and pray that I'm not on tomorrow night if this goes terribly wrong. That, gents, pretty much wraps up everything we need to talk about. We are a little bit early tonight, and I haven't prepped you two on this, but it's been popping up.
You did this the other night as well.
I know, but why not? Let's continue having a little bit of a chat. We've got 5 minutes, I reckon.
Yeah.
It's very early for the P word. I know that myself, but I'm going to instigate the conversation, Charlie. Well, we're 2 events away, Charlie.
No, I've literally spent the afternoon scrolling through arguments for the Premier League.
We have, but I haven't heard your opinion on it, right? We are 2 events away from the World Championships. As it stands, Fallon Sherrock does not have a tour card. Will she get picked for the Premier League?
Oh, no. I think I do think, and this is taking out sort of the integrity of darts, having her in wouldn't be the worst option in the world. Now, I understand, God, those points that you were making about how other players will be really pissed off about that, won't they, because of it? But I just think she will sell tickets. People will buy, merchandise. People will buy the sports packages to watch her play. I think for darts, they may look at it at that side and think, you know what, she could be a good pick for us.
Cam, I pretty much already know your opinion on this.
Yeah.
I mean, you've just had an outfit change to put on the most ludicrous baby pink hoodie I've ever seen in my life. Why on earth you even own that is beyond me. It's definitely your partner's, isn't it? It's not really yours.
It's definitely mine.
Bold. I was trying to give you an out then, and you've just thrown it back in my face. You want her in, don't you?
I 100%. I think she's the most marketable player in darts right now. She is.
There it is. I was just waiting for the M word. There's been earlier. If Susie Dent was into darts, marketable would be the word of the day.
Of course it would. I mean, she's the face of darts right now. There is no one else that has got mainstream coverage like she has, that people outside of the game instantly know who she is, other than probably MVG, but they already know him. That's not going to bring you anyone new. Whereas the Premier League is there for one reason, and it's the 16-week travelling circus of bringing in casual fans to bring new people into the game, get people there that are there for a good night out, and to build interest from there and get people watching. And there is no one better in darts right now than Fallon Sherrock for that. And that's the long and short of it. You can say there's other people that are more deserving, and if someone like Joe Cullen or Chris Dolby miss out, who have won events recently on the Pro Tour and have been performing for a number of years and going out there and doing it, miss out on merit, possibly, yes, they should be in ahead. But when it comes down to it, the Premier League is not about that. And that's the reason that it isn't the top 10 in the world. That's the reason that it's only the top 4 that get in as it is right now, at least, which whether that will still be the same for next year's, we'll see. But that's the reason that it's that. And then you've got wildcards after that and event winners, because it's about bringing in new people to the game.
It is, and I get that that's the aim of it. But I'm at the point where I think there's too many events like that. You've got the Premier League, you've got the World Series, you've got the Masters that's non-ranking. I hadn't really thought of it, but until I flashed it up on screen that Shawnee Mack's got it bang on. I think they will only announce 8, maybe 9 players for the Premier League and leave a couple of spots open heading in to the Masters. They've got time for it. They can see what happens at Q School, unless they go and retroactively award a tour card for top of the women's series, which I wouldn't put it past the PDC. But
yeah, I think there's a good chance of that.
I'd be extremely miffed if they do it after the fact. If you offer it to the start, no objection with it. It's an affiliate satellite tour, like the Challenge Tour, like the Development Tour. The player's going to compete in it and earn it fine. Over 12 events, not the biggest calendar year. The fact they've got 20 next year is the perfect time to introduce it. But if they start... The issue I've got is they're going to start bending and breaking rules for the benefit of one player. And then if that doesn't go right for them next year, are they going to bend it and break it back, or are they just going to live with it if it's not commercially viable for them? The fact that the timelines and Facebook and Twitter and discussion all day and for the last couple of days has been... I have no objection with Wayne Mardle talking about how marketable a player is. He's in the business of players being marketable. It's good for him. It's good for his employer, Sky. the fact that regular fans are now discussing how marketable somebody is, it's just a weird concept to me, because she's marketable, because you guys sit there and watch her. You shouldn't be saying she's marketable. You should be saying, I really enjoy watching her. And instead we're discussing, the fact she'll sell tickets. The person she's selling tickets to is you as fans.
But she sells tickets because she's great to watch and what she's doing in her performances. And I mean, how many people out there would have won that game last night the way she did? Male, female, whatever. There's not many that would have pulled off that she did under that pressure, where she had to win the final 3 legs to get through, and she took out a 141 and a 170 to win the match. That is world class, no matter what you're talking about, and that is the sort of thing that is why she's marketable. Just because she turns up there in a pink shirt and the crowd like her doesn't make her marketable. It's about what she's done on that stage, which no one else has ever done as a female player.
That was the other point I made, because when a couple of people were talking about how marketable Fallon is, and I'm going to say it, Wayne Marder was called out on social media earlier for saying she's the most marketable. Someone said, what makes her the most marketable? Is it because she's doing these things as a female player? And Rod Studd leapt to his defence, and Marder got in a humph about it. But actually, in terms of, Wayne then went on TV tonight and said she looks different to everybody else on stage that plays the game. Because she's female, of course she looks different. I think they're getting their wires crossed a little bit. Would the attention be on somebody firing in a 170 for the match in the fashion for a 4-1 if they weren't Fallon Sherrock? And I think that's a big difference. If that was Roby John Rodriguez last night, would we be talking about Roby John Rodriguez in the Premier League without a tour card, had a decent year, good run on TV? Probably not. And I think that's where players, fans, pundits are all getting a little bit crossed over at the minute, and the PDC as an end product, I don't really get where they're going to end with a World Series, with the Premier League. At what point do you stop making decisions based on commercial viability, and the strength of your product becomes enough to keep fans engaging and interacting without having to interfere in the natural order of merit? And I think that's where lines are going to get a little bit hazy over the next couple of years. The system they've got, the feeders, should be enough to produce everything that they want to. If they don't and they start interfering in it, that's where I've got a little bit of perhaps an issue with the way the PDC are heading at the minute. And that, boys, is probably a pretty good place to end before we get down an absolute Alice in Wonderland rabbit hole.
Me and you could be here all night on this one, couldn't we?
We could indeed. It's nothing to do with the player and the person involved. My point is that I think sport is the epitome of competition, and that should naturally evolve and develop without outside interference. It's almost like a free market. People that believe in, that study economics, there shouldn't be any interaction from the outside. A free market should provide everything it needs to, and if it doesn't, it doesn't, and that's the issue. So, yeah, before we go on any more tangents and rants, if you are listening to this as a podcast, thank you very much. We forgot to say thank you to you guys after the last couple of shows, but we know there are plenty of you out there downloading and listening to this as you go to work, travel back and forward, or as you sat at your desks throughout the day. Chat room, you guys have all been fantastic. Thank you very much for joining in once again. A quick reminder, we played you some clips of interviews earlier. Head over to our YouTube channel to watch those in full. And while you're there, I hear there's a very, very good video log of the World Seniors weekend. Another one coming soon. Part one is out. I'll admit it is a little bit rusty around the edges. I've never done a vlog before, never edited before, and definitely never created a thumbnail before. Excuse the Photoshop on that one, but it is worth your watching, I promise, if you get through the travelling to start with. Thank you very much to our friends at Boyle Sports for all their help this week. If you are having a flutter with them, please do remember to bet responsibly. But look out on our social media. Sam Tizzle. Tiz is back this week giving you all of the best hackers that he can find. So make sure you check those out. Gents, thank you very much for joining me. Cam with your wardrobe changes. Charlie, you've been here all week and you're staying with us. I think tomorrow, is it Friday, you finally get a day off? I haven't checked the rotor properly.
No, I'm still on Friday as well.
He's on all week. Look at this. What an addition to the team you have been, buddy. Thank you very much once again to everybody in the chat room. And with that, this is where I have to find the button for the outro. Thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. We will see you all once again tomorrow evening.